dear young brothers and sisters of the new generation of Hindustan, Namaskar. During the last episode of our exploration of the true history of Hindustan, we have reviewed the second meeting of Vasco da Gama with the King of Calicut and how it ended. We also have seen that the most brutal action which Vasco da Gama had committed in front of the King of Calicut was dispatching as a parcel the cut nose, ears, hands, etc. of some of the members of the royal court whom he caught hold of with insulting words to the King of Calicut. And when we compare this brutal action to the reception the King of Calicut had given to Vasco da Gama when he arrived Calicut for the first time, he was received exactly according to the mantra Adhiti Devo Bhava. But on his second visit, what happened was really a devilish activity or a devilish gesture from this Portuguese sailor. Having understood clearly that if he tried to remain or insisted to remain at Calicut, there could have been a strong resistance from the King of Calicut, he moved to Goa. In this episode, let us review other reasons which caused the decision of Vasco da Gama to move to Goa from Calicut, in addition to the reason which was the dispute between him and the King of Calicut. Due to the resistance faced in Calicut, Vasco da Gama and his fleet moved to Goa, which captured their attention for two main reasons. Firstly, its strategic location along the Arabian Sea, almost midway between the thriving regions of Malabar and Gujarat, which allowed the fleets from Goa to control the trade from these regions. The hinterland would have provided adequate supplies of food and water for the base. Secondly, compared with Portugal, where only 65% of the land was capable of being cultivated, Goa must have appeared like a lush, a tropical paradise. Here we have a very illustrative picture of the arrival of Vasco da Gama and his fleet in the land of Goa. The Portuguese seized control of Goa in 1510, and by 1530, the city had become the capital of the Portuguese state of India, Estado de India, a maritime empire that stretched from East Africa to Malacca, in modern day called Malaysia, and Macau on the south coast of China. It was in 1502 Vasco da Gama had his second meeting with the King of Calicut. In 1510, they had almost established in Goa, and in the next 20 years, practically, they transformed Goa as a Portuguese territory. And soon, the Society of Jesus was founded in Goa. Missionaries were sent from Portugal to preach Catholicism. The mission forced the conversion of the Hindu natives to Christianity. And see this picture, how the authority was being established. Here they were installing a stone-made cross, and here is the Portuguese flag. But the resistance was high for forced change of millennium culture and traditions in short time. On 6th of May 1542, Francis Xavier arrived in Goa. Witnessing the resistance in 1545, he wrote a letter to the Pope, 221st Pope Paul, requesting Inquisition to be established in Goa. See how events evolved. Practically, they decided that Goa was their own property, and they started installing crosses, installing the Portuguese flag, and not only the newly arrived missionary Francis Xavier had seen the resistance of the Hindus to change from the millennium culture to what was imported 3 days before in that land. So he wrote a letter for the authorization of the Pope to install Inquisition, and that was the Goa Inquisition, about which the majority of our citizens have no idea. And that was the beginning of all the nightmares. All the details about the Goa Inquisition, which I am sharing with you, are collected from this book, which was written in 1819. Since the photostat of the face page of the original book is not so clear, I have transcribed the text, the whole text here. It is an account of the Inquisition at Goa in India, translated from French by M. Delon, with an appendix containing an account of the escape of Archibald Bauer from the Inquisition of Italy. And this was published by Roller and Lamblin printers in 1819. Another book from which I have collected the details I am going to share with you is from this book, History of Inquisition. This book was published in 1759. And as per the descriptions in those books I have shown you, the first inquisitors, Alexio Diaz and Francisco Marcos, arrived in Goa and occupied the residence of the Portuguese viceroy. The inquisitors prohibited the practice of Hindu faith. Practice of Hindu faith was declared as an offense with severe punishment. Hindus were cast into prison cells for religious or traditional practices and for minor offenses. Due to lack of cells, they were sacked in small cells without any hygienic facilities or supply of water, coming from somewhere to Hindustan. First, kneeling down in front of a king or an authority if they can settle there in Hindustan. Once established, declare that that land is their own and their property, and declaring that a person who continue with his millennium culture is a criminal, and putting him into the jail or destroying him or killing him. In 1567, the Portuguese colonial forces launched a campaign of destroying Hindu temples. It is estimated that not less than 300 Hindu temples were destroyed during this campaign. On the 4th of December 1567, rituals such as Hindu marriages, sacred thread bearing, and cremations were prohibited. Any person over the age of 15 was compelled to listen to the Christian preaching, failing which they were severely punished. According to what is narrated in the Bible, which is the only reference book for the Christians, what Jesus Christ taught was compassion, fraternity, peace, love, and he even taught, love your enemies also. And those people who declared themselves as the followers of Jesus Christ, coming to a foreign land, start practicing each and every activity 100% opposite to what was taught by Jesus Christ, as it is narrated in the Bible. So how can they be called as even Christians? These are all facts which should be analyzed, at least by the new generation of Hindustan. These are information to be remembered and transmitted, taught to the next generation of our great nation. In the next episode, we will be reviewing the methods practiced by these Christian missionaries to convert the Hindus of Goa into Christianity during the Goa Inquisition, which was authorized by the Holy Office of Rome to practice brutality in another nation where they were accepted as guests. The Holy Office of Rome authorizing to kill the Hindus until they are converted to Christianity. So, see you in the next episode. Thank you very much for your kind attention to my words. Jai Hind.